Hey everyone, it's Alan. Electric cars are all the rage these days, with seemingly endless praise from some corners of the internet. They're marketed as the future of transportation, and it's easy to see why with their sleek designs, instant torque, and promise of a greener planet. But are they really the best choice for everyone? Not necessarily. While there are definitely some compelling reasons to go electric, there are also some potential downsides that you should carefully consider before you sell your gas guzzler and join the EV revolution. And that's what we're going to talk about today. This isn't about hating on electric cars, it's about giving you a realistic look at some of the challenges they present. So buckle up as we dive into the top 5 reasons you might want to think twice before buying an electric car. All right, let's address the elephant in the room, the price. Electric cars, especially new ones, tend to have a higher upfront cost compared to their gasoline counterparts. Yeah, I know, shocking. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Doug, what about the gas savings and lower maintenance costs? And yes, you're right, those factors do help offset the initial price difference over time. But the question is how much time? See, for many buyers, that initial price difference is a major hurdle. It's the difference between getting a car with all the bells and whistles you want and settling for a base model with crank windows and a cassette player. Okay, maybe not that basic, but you get the point. And look, I'm all for saving the planet, but I'm also a firm believer in getting the most bang for your buck. So before you sign on the dotted line for that shiny new EV, take a hard look at your finances and see if it makes sense for your budget. Because honestly, sometimes it makes more financial sense to buy a gently used gas-powered car and invest the difference. Okay, next up, let's talk about range. Electric car range has improved dramatically in recent years, and there are now plenty of models that can go over 300 miles on a single charge. That's great. If you only drive around town or commute short distances and never leave your home state. But what if you're someone who likes to take epic road trips? You know, the kind where you just point the car in a random direction and see where the road takes you. Well, that's where range anxiety comes in. It's that nagging feeling in the back of your mind, constantly calculating how many miles you have left and desperately searching for charging stations. And trust me, finding a charging station isn't always as easy as pulling into a gas station, because even when you do find one, there's no guarantee it'll be working, or that it won't be already occupied by another EV driver with the same range anxiety you have. And don't even get me started on charging times. Sure, fast chargers can juice up your battery fairly quickly, but it's still not as fast as filling up a gas tank. So if you're the kind of person who values spontaneity and the open road, an EV might not be the best fit for your lifestyle just yet. Chapter 3. Charging Chaos. Navigating the EV charging maze. Speaking of charging, let's talk about charging infrastructure. Yes, it's improving, but it's still nowhere near as ubiquitous as the good old gas station. Think about it, gas stations are literally everywhere. You can find them on practically every corner, even in the middle of nowhere. They're like the Starbucks of the automotive world. But charging stations, not so much. Finding a charging station can sometimes feel like embarking on a scavenger hunt. You might find yourself driving around in circles, desperately searching for a place to plug in, all while watching your battery percentage tick down like a time bomb. And even when you do find a charging station, it might not be compatible with your car. It's like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, frustrating and time-consuming. Look, I get it, the future is electric, blah, 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 but the reality is, the infrastructure just isn't there yet. And until it catches up, owning an EV will always come with a certain level of inconvenience, especially if you frequently travel outside of major cities. Chapter 4, Battery Blues, the ticking time bomb under your EV. Now let's talk about batteries, the heart and soul of every electric car, but also potentially its Achilles heel. See, batteries degrade over time. It's a fact of life, like death, taxes, and the fact that your favorite band's new album will never be as good as their old stuff. As your EV battery ages, its capacity to hold a charge diminishes, which means you'll gradually lose range. Remember that 300-mile range you were so excited about? Yeah, after a few years it might be closer to 250, then 200 and so on. Not ideal, right? And here's the kicker. Replacing an EV battery is not cheap. In fact, it can cost you thousands of dollars, which could wipe out any savings you might have accumulated from not buying gasoline. Ouch. So, while EVs are often marketed as low-maintenance vehicles, that doesn't mean they're maintenance-free. That battery is a ticking time bomb. And eventually, it's going to need to be replaced. And when it does, be prepared to shell out some serious cash. Chapter 5. Time is money, the hidden cost of EV charging. And finally, let's address the elephant in the room, or should I say the charging station. Charging times. Even with fast chargers, juicing up an EV takes significantly longer than filling up a gas tank. We're talking about minutes versus hours here, people. Now, for some, this might not be a big deal. If you have a garage and can charge your car overnight, you might never even think twice about it. But for others, especially those who rely on public charging stations, those long charging times can be a major inconvenience. Imagine having to take a long road trip and having to factor in hours of charging time at each stop. Or picture this. You're late for an important meeting, but your EV battery is running on fumes. You pull into a charging station only to find out that it'll take an hour to get enough juice to reach your destination. Talk about stressful. Look, time is money, and every minute you spend tethered to a charging station is a minute you could be spending on more important things like watching cat videos on YouTube or, actually living your life. Outro. So is an EV right for you? So there you have it. 5 reasons why you might want to think twice before buying an electric car. Look, I'm not saying electric cars are bad. In fact, they have the potential to revolutionize the automotive industry and create a greener future for all of us. But, and this is a big but, they're not for everyone. While electric cars have many benefits, it's important to consider these potential drawbacks before making a decision. Don't buy into the hype without doing your research. Consider your lifestyle, your budget, and your needs. If you're a city dweller with a short commute and easy access to charging stations, then an EV might be a perfect fit. But if you're a road trip warrior or someone who values convenience above all else, you might want to stick with a gas-powered car for now. The choice is yours.